Hi everyone! So for today's English is Fun, we are going to learn about adjective with me, Teacher Nora, Teacher Aqila, and Teacher Amir. For today's lesson, first of all, we are going to learn the definition of adjective, the uses of adjective, adjective modify noun, the forms of adjectives. Next is coordinative adjective, and finally we are going to answer some exercises with teacher Aqila. So stay tuned. So, what is adjective? Adjectives are words that describe or modify other words, making your writing and speaking much more specific and a whole lot more interesting. It is also used to identify or quantify individual people and unique things. It is also usually positioned before the noun or pronoun that they modify. For example, Mary wore a beautiful dress on her birthday party. So you can see here, the word beautiful is the adjective. So what are the uses of adjectives? Adjectives tell the reader how much or how many of something you're talking about, which thing you want passed to you, or which kind of something you want. For example, please use three white flowers in the arrangement. So here, the word three and white are modifying flowers. When adjectives are used together, you should separate them with a comma or conjunction. For example, I'm looking for a small, good-tempered cat to keep as a pet. My new cat is small and good-tempered.
I'm teacher Aqila and today we're going to take a look at the adjective modifying nouns. So we know that adjective are words that describe nouns, right? So modify, in other words, it means to describe. Alright, so adjectives, they do not modify adverbs or verbs. It only modify nouns. So from the example that we see in the slides, we can easily spot the adjectives because they come before the nouns. So for the first example, Margot wore a beautiful hat to the pie eating contest. So from here, we can tell that the adjective is beautiful and the noun is hat. Okay, take a look at the second example. Furry dogs may overheat in the summertime. So we know that furry here functions as the adjective and dogs function as the noun. Okay, on to the last example, we have my cake should have 12 candies. So we know here 12 is the adjective and candles is the noun.
Assalamualaikum and good day. My name is Mohd Amiruddin and I am going to present degrees of comparison, which is adjectives comes in three forms, which is absolute, comparative, and superlative. For absolute, it describes something in its own right from the word itself, and for comparative, it is phrases that make a comparison between two or more things. And as for superlative, the phrases that indicate that something has the highest degree of the quality in question. Using a superlative inherently indicates that you are talking about specific item or items, and it will almost always be the definite article using the rather than a or an. As for a comparative, you need to add er to one-syllable words to make comparative. If an adjective ends in the letter e, and we only add r. If an adjective ends with a vowel or a consonant, we double the consonantive. An adjective ends with consonant and add y and change y to I and add er. We use more to make comparative for most two-syllable adjective and all adjective with three or more syllables. And as for superlative, the the modification for the words by adding est to one-syllable words to make superlative. If an adjective ends with the letter E, we add st, and if an adjective ends in a vowel and a consonant, we double the consonantive, and if an adjective ends in a consonant and the letter Y, we change the letter Y to the letter I and add est. We also use most to make superlative for most two syllables adjective and for all adjective with three or more syllables. As for example, for absolute is an old cat, a cool guy, a big box, a messy desk, a mischievous cat. An example for comparative is an older cat, a cooler guy, a bigger box, a messier desk, a more mischievous cat. And as for example for superlative, the oldest cat, the coolest guy, the biggest box, the messiest desk, the most mischievous cat. For my other part would be coordinate adjectives. So coordinate adjectives should be separated by a comma or the letter or the words and. Adjectives are said to be coordinated if modify the same noun. As example, long, cold winter, dedicated, and tireless. Another case, an adjective and a noun form a single semantic, then modified by another adjective. The adjectives are not coordinated, should not be separated by comma. As example, my cat Goober loves sleeping on this tattered woolen sweater. As example number 2, no one could open the old silver locket. To decide the adjectives are coordinate or not, try by adding the words and between adjectives to see the words seem natural. Another way to test for coordinate adjectives by switching by the order of the adjectives and seeing the phrases still works. That's all from me.
Now, after doing all those lessons that we done earlier, let's take a look and see if we understand what we have learned so far. So here, in this part, we are going to discuss the exercise together. Alright, so let's take a look at the first question. He is, then his neighbors. So the correct answer is richer because we have the word then, right? So it's basically us making a comparison. So the correct answer is he is richer than his neighbors. Now moving on to the second question. The brides were much, fill in the blanks, than the grooms. So like I said, same with the first question, we have the word then. So it means that we are comparing. So when we are comparing, we have to use the ER terms of the adjectives. So the correct answer is the brides were much younger than the grooms. Alright, now on to the third question. He is too, fill in the blanks, to be taught. So here it's very simple. The answer is intelligent. He is too intelligent to be taught. And number 4, he is, fill in the blanks, then I thought him to be. So the question is similar with question number 1 and question number 2. We have the word then. So when we have then, it means that we are comparing, right? So he is cleverer than I thought him to be. That is the answer. Now on to the last question, which is question number 5. When the old woman became, fill in the blanks, she began to move about. So what is the answer here? The answer here is stronger. So when the old woman becomes stronger, she began to move around. So that is the answer for our exercise for today. Hello class, we have reached the end of our lesson for today. So let's recap what we have learned so far. So the first thing that we learned is what is adjective, right? We learn about the definition of adjectives, and next we also learn about how adjectives modify nouns. The third point is that we learn the uses of adjectives, when do we use adjectives and its functions. And number 4, we learn about the degrees of comparison, right? We know how to compare adjectives with other adjectives. And lastly, we learn about coordinate objectives. So, all these 5 things that we learned today, make sure to revise it on your own to ensure a better understanding. So that is all for our class today. Thank you and see you soon.